Today on the Burn Bootcamp podcast, I am sitting down with Nick and Tori Foles, a family whose resilience and greatness is defined by their faith. Nick Foles, a Super Bowl winning quarterback and MVP, author, and leader with his amazing wife, Tori Foles, Burn Bootcamp members at Costa Mesa, California. Also, Tori is a former Division I volleyball player. They're both entrepreneurs. They now run a company, Dad Season and Mom Season, and they are just an absolute powerhouse. Together, they've navigated the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, with faith always at the center. They represent what a championship team is. We're so excited to have them on the podcast. Their story isn't just about football, family, purpose, living with impact. Let's welcome Nick and Tori Foles. Welcome to the Burn Podcast, where strength meets science, food fuels energy, and mindset creates momentum. I'm DK, your personal trainer, and I want you to train, eat, and think differently. So get ready to take your health and fitness to the next level here on the Burn Podcast. Let's get to work. All right, everybody. Got some special guests here, as you heard in the intro. I got Nick and Tori Foles with me, and I am so thankful to be here in your city, in your studio. We got Dad and Mom Season and Philadelphia Eagles all over the walls in here. It's so great to be able to sit down with you guys. We've been able to get to know you through the Costa Mesa gym here. I don't know, fun fact, Nick, if you know this, but you're the first male member at Costa Mesa ever. I don't know that. And Tori, I know that you pulled him in, so thank you for that. We appreciate it.
That's so funny.
They got me.
Yeah.
I was even a part of the all-guy class one night.
Yeah.
That was fun with my friends. They died. A lot of guys couldn't do it. They were struggling.
That's how it works, right, Tori? You've seen it many times. You know, the guys come in, they're like, okay, I got this. And then 10 minutes later, we're puking out in the bushes.
Yeah.
No,
it's just a bunch of girls working out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here to, obviously, Nick Foles, Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP. Tori, you in your own right were an athlete as well. You guys got an opportunity to meet at University of Arizona. I know Michigan State tries to claim you, Nick, because that's where I'm from. They try to claim you. But at the end of the day, it's Arizona where you guys met, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. She was actually the first girl when I transferred from Michigan State. Now it's like a funny story with our family, but I was going to do my physical and she was a freshman and I was walking in and she was walking out of the weight room. She was actually the first girl I saw at Arizona. I did not go after her or anything, but my dad called me that day and was asking me how I was doing because he was worried I had transferred and I actually walked on to Arizona my first semester. So as a dad, he's worried and it's like, Dad, I think I'm going to love Arizona. I'd grown up going out to Phoenix. I have family in Phoenix and I was like, it feels great to be out here. And I saw the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life. And lo and behold, like many years later, it's my wife.
Do you still blush when he says that after all these years?
A little bit, but I have heard it quite a few times now. But your dad says that you said you were going to marry me.
Yeah, that's my dad telling tall tales. Larry's been known to sort of sensationalize things a little bit.
Yeah, he would just said, oh yeah, Nick called me right away. He said, that's the girl I'm going to marry.
I don't think at 19 years old, I was thinking that. I was thinking like, no, she's really hot. Like, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah, so didn't go to Arizona to chase girls, but she ended up finding you. You guys saw each other, and what did you think the first time that you saw Nick?
I was coming out of the weight room, and I actually think I do remember.
There's no way.
I think I do remember maybe, like I have a visual of coming out of the weight room with my teammates and you and other teammates walking in, but I don't remember it as vivid as he does. We actually remained friends in college for our whole college careers, but we started dating right after college, which I think was, God's timing of it all, and it was the right timing.
That's when my long hair went away.
The flow.
Yeah, I had long. Yeah, she made after a year of dating, she was finally like, "Hey, I love you, but can we like clean this up?" So one day I surprised her when she was working at Nike, and I went and got a haircut, cut it all off to where like it is now, and it just shocked her, but she liked it.
You didn't have the flow out the back of the helmet anymore after that, or what?
No, just my rookie year. My rookie year was the last time. And then,
all right.
Yeah.
So you grew up in California, Tori.
Correct. Yep.
Nick, you in Austin.
Yep.
You guys met at the University of Arizona, and the next year, 2012, you're drafted in the third round.
Yes.
By the Eagles, and at that time, you're in Portland. You've already graduated, correct? And you're working in Portland.
that summer,
Okay.
I moved to Portland to pursue an internship with Nike.
Got it.
At their headquarters in Beaverton. But I was living in Portland. And then this is kind of right around the time we started we were such good friends all of college, but we kind of were keeping in touch. And it was that type of thing where we weren't going to see each other anymore unless we made a conscious effort.
Mhm.
And you don't really do that with the male who's a friend, just a friend. So it was something else was going on. And he came to visit me in Portland that summer. And then we started dating right away.
And so many amazing things for you guys have happened as a family since then. We're going to kind of pick up back on that timeline, but dad season and mom season. Let's talk about that real quick. We'll fast forward and then we'll kind of rewind and go back. This is something that, is really an embodied philosophy based on all the things that you guys have been through from your childhood all the way, having your own family, getting married, having 3 beautiful children, learning yourselves, I'm sure through that process, we'll talk about relating kind of some principles you've learned along the way back to the philosophy of the company, but just talk about that. Cause that's what attracted me so much to you guys is the philosophy of the company, what dad season is, what mom season is, what you're trying to do, what you have already done. And when, Kelly and Shannon, had said that they were great friends with you guys and we should check it out. I checked it out. I was like, wow, that is such a great idea. It's such an amazing idea. And I found out shortly after that you all and the O'Donnells, Pat and Shelby, you guys started this together. They're out in Jupiter going to burn at the same time. And I'm like, this is something that's meant to be kind of great finds great. Yeah. Eventually you kind of magnetically attracted toward each other. And I think that's why I'm here today. So explain that, just the philosophy a little bit of dad season, mom season, where you're at right now, where you want to go.
Yeah, I think the genesis of it all started with Pat, started a podcast called Locker Room Dads, where he wanted to interview guys in the locker room about fatherhood and being an athlete. And I was his first guest, and he'd always say it's dad season. And then with that, he created the first t-shirt, which is a tri-blend t-shirt, which is dad season on the front. And that's sort of where it stood. And, I finished playing the game in 23, and that's when this idea started. I think I was done when we did the first podcast, and I was a guest. And Pat's like, hey, man, do you think this is something? I'm like, yeah, I do. I do think it's something. He's like, will you do it with me? I was like, man, I just finished playing in the NFL. I know I'm done. I need time with my family. I need time to deal with the emotions. I need at least a year just to recalibrate who I am, what's going on. The Lord has it on my heart to take time away and not jump into anything. Well, at the end of 23, we just kept talking. And in January 24, I was just every day thinking about what dad season could be. And the biggest thing was create great product, but create a great community and impact people. So we agreed in January to do the company together. So we're co-founders of Dad Season. And then it was like, all right, how do we figure out everything? And that's a long story in itself, but we are truly a small business. We are all hands-on, and we are the creators. We are the producers. We are hands in everything, which is really cool because there's a lot of learning that's involved, but we enjoy doing it. So our first hats came out midway through 2024. We figured out how to make hats and hat manufacture, and that's been a process. And we wanted to create awesome hats that are high functional, like you can sweat in them, most of them. The lifestyle like I'm wearing, I wouldn't want to go work out in it, but our performance hats are awesome with sweat and everything. But then how do you make the term dad in a brand like Dad Season cool? That's hard. That's like Etsy. Etsy's cool and I love it. My sister's done stuff on Etsy. I think it's a great product. You do it, but I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be our own brand that you make it cool. You make a great community, which is an uphill battle. But how do you do that? So that's been our journey, and it's been a lot of fun. And with that, we not only wanted to create a community and empower dads and let them know they're not alone in this journey and how important fatherhood is, but moms as well. Moms are the key cornerstone to a household. I know that from Tori, just throughout our career. I mean, she held it down whenever we moved, whenever I'd play, the kids, the doctor's appointments, the schools, everything. She was our backbone that made everything happen. So with that, the mom season line came to fruition, and Tori has really been spearheading that with Shelby. And we each have our parts of the company that we do really, really well. And then we all come together as the company and do it. But I know she probably has some thoughts on mom season, but that's a little bit about us.
Was it always the vision from the beginning to have mom season, or was that it was dad season? Okay. Now, the ladies are saying, hey, this is cool. I want a piece of this too.
Not immediately. Like it started with dad season, and then you guys started once you started making hats and kind of realizing that that was what the main product was going to be. And then it was kind of like, well, obviously we need a mom season hat, but what is cool about the dad part of it is there is a lot of mom kind of memorabilia and stuff out there. Like you go to boutiques, you go to different stores, you'll see number one mom or the mother brand. You'll see hats that say mother, but there's not a lot of dad stuff, which I don't think that's because being a dad isn't shown off or cherished. I don't think that's it. I just think it's not a natural inclination to represent yourself as dad first before anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that because that is their most important role. And I think most dads feel that's their most important role, but it's just not shown off as much as it is with moms. But with that, the mom, we obviously pretty soon after were like, we need to have mom season as well. And so we started designing some of those hats and same meaning with kind of relishing or cherishing that mom role, but taking it to another level of just like, how good can I be at this? How can I put my whole self into this? And not necessarily make it my whole identity, but just put everything I can into this to be the best mom I can be,
And you guys sent me and Morgan, you guys sent us a box of hats a piece, and I could barely keep, because you sent me a healthy box. I mean, I had like 10 in there. Yeah. I could barely keep them on my desk because all the guys in the office were like, "Oh, how many you got? You got 10, you wear them all?"
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, turns out, yes, my favorite hat in the world. I am going to wear them all, paws off. No, I gave them out to the office, and Morgan actually has the one that you have on right now, Tori, except for it's like the all pink color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she absolutely loves it. And then we're traveling to come see you guys, and the New Heights podcast, you guys I believe are friends with the Kelseys.
Yep.
The brother. He has one on.
Yeah.
I'm sure your website goes crazy. Yeah. The dad no days off one.
That was our first hat that we ever came out with.
Very first one.
I think I brought it here somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, throw me that, Trisha. Throw me that one right there.
You.
Oh, there is one right there. Cool. I brought one too. There we go.
That's what you were wearing when you walked in?
It was. Yeah. This is a great one.
That was the first hat we came out with.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we realized we needed more of our branding, our logo, like that's on my shirt. So we had our hats that followed up. So we have a bunch of different colors of that.
So as you're going through football, you in 2013, you have like your breakout year. I was looking at the stats because I remember that year specifically, but I think you had like 27 touchdowns or something like that, maybe a couple picks. Mm-hmm. It was like breakout year for you. You guys are together at the time. Did you expect that? Did you expect that kind of when you hit that breakout year and you stepped up and just started, you got your opportunity the year before and stepped up, had a stellar season. What was that like between the two of you? Was it, did you expect to do that?
I don't think anyone can expect
I know. That's what I was curious
to set all these NFL records in their second year. And I think what's crazy is, and this is why I have so much respect for athletes and people, is people don't really know what's going on off the field, right? You look at an athlete on the field and you sort of really judgmental about what's going on, good or bad. Whereas like I might be doing all these amazing things on the field and going to the Pro Bowl, setting records, throwing 7 touchdowns in a game. But at the same time, Tori's really sick, had to leave Nike, has moved in with her parents in Wisconsin. And we're on the phone having conversations about next step with her health condition. And then I'm going to play the game. And I don't think I expected that. It was Chip Kelly's first year. I'm actually shocked that I was on the roster because when Chip got the job, I'm thinking this is like a zone read, like they want a fast quarterback, like a Marcus Mariota, like he had at Oregon. And I remember vividly in an off-season training, I ran into Chip in the hallway because I'm thinking like I'm gonna get traded year 2. And
because you had Michael Vick there before then. Right?
Michael Vick and I were there together. He was Chip's first starter.
Yeah,
and I was his backup. And Chip stopped me in the hallway and he asked how I was doing, and I just had a conversation with him. And I played against him 3 times in college at Arizona. We lost every game versus Oregon, but we played him really well. And I did not know this at the time when I was in college, but I was taking a beating every single time we played Oregon, but I was fighting every single play. And I think I threw for like 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns in 3 games versus Oregon. Like, so really, really good stats. And I kept fighting. And he said, your senior year at halftime, we went in and said, Foles is out of the game. We just knocked him out. He for sure has a concussion. Get ready for the backup. There's no way Nick's going to play. I come back out and throw probably another 200 yards and a couple more touchdowns, and we lose. He goes, that's why you're here, because I saw you in college play against me and you brought it. And now I didn't. So what I'm telling people that are listening is like, you never know through those like valleys or those trials, like, man, this sucks. Like as an athlete, you're getting beat, you're losing, but you continue to give yourself to your teammates, to your city, to your team, and give it everything you have. You never know in the future when you're going to cross paths with someone that maybe you played against that they're going to say, you could have given up, but you didn't. And then I got to be Chip's starter for a couple of years and do really great things, and have really special memories that, we did things that the NFL had never seen before. And it was really special, but that was a really awesome, humbling year that I'm glad we got to have. And then ultimately, she was going through her health journey, the beginning of that at that time. So that off season, we were at the Mayo Clinic, and I'll let you take it from there though.
Yeah. So, he left that summer to go start the season, and I had just moved to, I guess I had been there about a year.
Yeah.
But I was starting my career with Nike, and I was like, what is this gonna, we knew we wanted to be together. We knew we wanted to get married, but I wasn't going to move to the East Coast right then and there. And then he left, and it was honestly very sad, very hard, because I'm like, we're going to be apart for 8 months. Like, how's this going to work, know? And then a few weeks later, I got so ill, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just almost fainted one day. And then every morning I was waking up puking, couldn't stand for longer than 5 minutes.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. I got a virus, a typical virus. And then this happened a few weeks later. I make that connection because sometimes they say this autoimmune condition can come on with a virus. But I couldn't do anything that I could do 3 weeks prior. I couldn't stand up. My blood pressure was changing. My heart rate was changing. I didn't know that's what was happening at the time. And so I got diagnosed within 6 weeks because my aunt worked for a neurologist and she knew the symptoms I was telling her. And I tried to keep working, but when you can't even stand up, it's hard to go to work. So I had to eventually stop. Like he said, move back home with my parents who were in Wisconsin at the time. I grew up here, but they moved there when I went to college. And it was just, it was the worst time of my life. Nothing I knew was the same. I was a college athlete. I could no longer get out of bed and just function. I was just trying to stand up. I was so sick, shaky. Basically, POTS is an autonomic nervous system disorder where from lying down to standing up, my heart rate and blood pressure were not functioning. So they were fluctuating. So your autonomic nervous system should naturally keep all that in check, and those things shouldn't change. But for someone with POTS, especially when you first get sick and you don't have a handle of it, my blood pressure would just tank, and my heart rate just upon standing would go to 180 or 200 beats per minute. So if you're not moving and that happens, you feel like you're going to faint, puke, not good things.
Right.
So I was just not well. And this is when he was having this standout season, which was a really nice distraction because it was very exciting.
I was going to say highs and lows, right?
Yeah, it was so weird. But I couldn't be there for any of it to watch it or anything. Just because I couldn't really even leave the house.
You have the physical energy to do it. And even if you did, it's you need to figure this out.
Towards the end of that season, I was able to kind of get a handle on some of my symptoms and go out there and be there. But not going to a game or anything like that, And then going into that off season, we went to the Mayo Clinic and did a full workup with an autonomic specialist there. And that's when I got an official diagnosis from someone like that and got on a path to recovery, which is a whole story in itself. But that's kind of where I started to get better.
Okay. Well, so then this is 2013 and you guys get married in 14, correct?
Yes.
So this is all, there's a lot of highs and a lot of craziness happening.
We lived out the wedding vows as,
Yeah, we didn't have a traditional wedding. We actually got engaged in Scottsdale, Arizona, while in between testing at the Mayo Clinic, in my uncle's backyard. And then she had to sit down shortly after because she was standing for too long. And we went out to eat with family. Family flew in to surprise her. I knew they were coming, and it was really fun. And then she was doing some treatments, and we were living together, and it was struggling because we're both Christians and our faith is so important. It surrounds everything we do, but we were really struggling with that aspect of just living together and all these different things. And I had a friend who was with either Athletes in Action or FCA. He came by in Corona Del Mar, visited, had a conversation. She was doing an IVIG treatment. It's like a 6-hour IV drip, and he sort of called me out. He's like, hey man, like y'all need to figure this out. And it was hard to hear that because I knew what we were doing, and I was struggling with it. So at first when he called me out, I was like boiling, but I held the Spirit let me hold it in. And then I realized, like, well, what do I do? He's like, just go to a courthouse and get married and do a wedding down the road. And I mean, I'd never been married. I'm a young guy. I'm like, you can do that? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I go in after the conversation. I'm like sort of worried. I knew she'd be okay with it, but I'm like, this is like, you know, a wedding sort of really important to both parties. But for a woman, it's, you know, it's really important. And before I could say anything, she said, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, let's go get married at a courthouse. And she had cracked the window and had listened to the whole conversation and eavesdropped.
I was inside, like right by the window, and they were on the porch, and I heard the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're signed up at that point. Like, you're like, let's just go.
A big wedding was like the last thing on my mind.
Well,
put life in perspective, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I just wanted to get better. I just wanted to have a normal day, you know, to be able to do the things that I used to do. So that wasn't number one on my mind at that time.
And so faith pulled you kind of through this period of your life in a big way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It surrounded everything. Faith increased through the trials, like the book of James says, finding joy within trials. And, you know, when we were saying our wedding vows at her family friend's law office who married us, we were sitting down. And we went, her mom and I went that day to like Nordstrom's and picked out a white dress. I didn't even have a wedding band for myself. We actually didn't get her a wedding band till a couple years ago because we just never, life started so fast. But what was cool is like after we got married, we went out to eat, and Kalo, the rubber ring company, was local.
Oh, yeah.
So I hit up my agents, and like someone from the company like drove by our rental and like threw a pack of them out the window, and I caught it. And like I had my first wedding band was just a black rubber silicone band.
Oh, cool.
And so I don't know. I just think it's really cool because as we were saying our vows, we were living them, and we always thought we would do a wedding ceremony, but life has just been so action-packed and fruitful and dense and mountaintops and valleys that we realized that our story is our story, and we did it because of our faith. And you know what? It's a story that we can share with our children as they get older. And, you know, maybe we do a fun celebration someday so I can dance with my mom, she can dance with her dad, and we can renew our vows and our kids can experience it and we can tell the story, because a lot of people don't realize it. You know, we were just with friends at a retreat, like a Christian retreat, and we talked a little about it, and like close friends know, but a lot of people are like, wait, you didn't have a wedding? It's like, nah. Like,
they're just in shock.
It just wasn't in the cards for us, but it's a beautiful story, and we know why we did what we did, and it allowed our faith to increase.
And so you had POTS. What does that stand for?
So postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So postural meaning, you know, posture, orthostatic standing still.
Okay.
Tachycardia, your heart tachycardic, speeding up syndrome. So that's only describing your heart rate going up by 30 beats per minute or more upon standing. That is all that acronym describes. But that's under the umbrella of dysautonomia, which is the larger name for the disease. And it's basically dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system, which is a part of your neurological, it's in your brain. So, yeah.
So your health in 2014 is suffering. You're figuring that out. At the same time, I think later that year, you break your collarbone. You go down, I think you start 6-2. You go down, you break your collarbone. That's a tough year.
Yeah.
The following year.
Yeah. That's that next season, right after the kind of breakout year. Break your collarbone. Have high expectations, obviously coming back, and break your collarbone. And then after that, the Rams year, where you know that was a tough season for you. And so, like, you know, how do you guys go through a lot at one time, and you're people of faith and Christians? How do you how do you recommend other people deal with these hard times? You know, so the easiest thing to do for some people as they're growing through their faith is to question it when things go wrong, right? So how do you lean in
Yeah.
when things are going wrong rather than lean away.
Yeah, I think throughout the St. Louis year, I mean, God was working in my heart, and you learn through the valleys. Mountaintop experiences are great, but through the valleys are where so much growth happens. And after the 2015 season, I didn't want to play football anymore, and I was potentially going to retire. And I think I felt distant from the Lord. It wasn't like questioning, I just felt distant, and I was struggling, and she was there to walk through it every step of the way, to the point where like she tossed a football one day to me. It's like, you should go throw or do something. And I just hit it to the ground. I was like, I never want to touch that again, because there was so much pain and darkness in my heart as it pertained to football. But several things happened. A camping trip with her brother Ryan, where I got away. I got my release from the Rams. I negotiated a release, and I was released on Hard Knocks via phone call, which was one of my favorite moments of my NFL career, was getting released by the Rams. Like, it was the first time in my life where football did not have a hold of my life. Like, it did not decide what I did next. Whereas up to that point, every moment of my life was determined by football. Mm-hmm. Like when training camp was, when this was, all these things. So this was a really special moment. I remember where I was in Laguna Beach. I was driving through a valley, and I remember just like, I got to feel that. But it ultimately came down to, there was a moment where I got back from the camping trip, and she had written me a letter that's still in one of my Bibles to this day. And she was there, like, basically saying everything she saw going on with me. She challenged me in a loving way, but also said, no matter what you decide, I'm your wife. I'm there with you. And I remember I was in tears. I bowed down my head, and I just said, God, please, just like so many of us do, like, give me a sign or give me a direction. And all I felt was just calm and a silent voice saying, just move. You're in a paralyzed state. You're living out of fear. Fear doesn't come from me. Just go. Just move a direction. Either leave the game and I'm with you and I love you, or go back to the game. I'm with you. I love you. It does not matter. What you do does not matter. It's just that you love you, that you have a relationship with me and you believe in Jesus. So it came down to, what was I most afraid of? And that's what I made my decision. What was I fearful of? Was I fearful of leaving the game, or was I fearful of going back to the game? And I got up and I left, and I went and walked down the street, and I called Andy Reid, who had called me previously. And I said, Andy, she had no clue what was going on. I go, Andy, if you'll still have me in Kansas City, training camp's already started. It's like a week into it. I was like, I will come out there. This is what's going on in my heart. I want you to know, but if there's even a spark of football in there, I know playing for you again, we'll get that out. He's like, yeah, I want you to be here. And I'm like, all right. So I call my agent, I tell him what's going on. And then I go back in, and she thinks I've like totally retired, like put in my papers. And I sit down and I was like, hey, I need to call Evan and Ryan, her older brothers. She's like, why? I was like, we got to go find a field and see if I can still throw this thing. She's like, and she just starts crying. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, we're going to Kansas City and I'm going to play again. And it was the fourth day of training camp. I felt like an imposter the first 3 days. I was really wrestling with it. I felt awkward, weird. Fourth day of camp, I was in the film room, 7 a.m., reading my Bible, studying film, trying to get the offense down. And I just broke down in tears by myself, just because I was excited to go play. Mm-hmm. I was excited to go practice. I was excited to watch film. I was excited to be with my teammates. And I played in 2 games that year, went 2-0 in the games I played, did really, really well. Had so much fun being with Alex Smith and that team. We had a really good team. We were like number 1 in the AFC. But I love playing with Andy. I love being with the guys. I love being in that QB room. And I wanted to go back the next year, but it didn't work out that way. And I went back. That's why I ended up in Philly, is they drafted Pat Mahomes, and they had a plan with Pat, and that allowed me to eventually get back to Philly. But that re-energized my whole career, just because I was in a great culture.
So Tori, when you're expecting Nick to retire, that's what's on your mind, and he comes back in and says, hey, I'm gonna lace him up and I'm gonna get back out there. What was your initial reaction?
I mean, I thought he was kidding. Maybe I was in shock, because he was so set on being done.
Yeah.
And if he was done, that was okay. But I just knew that you just have an intuition about your husband, right? Like, I knew that wasn't the right choice to make at that time for him. I knew that the way that it ended would not be something 10 years later that he loved looking back on. And so I just wanted him to finish it differently. And I just had such a strong feeling about a different way of that ending for him. So I was relieved, I would say. But a little stressed too, because then we were moving across the country and had to figure all that out, you know.
I was going to ask you a question around, you know, signing as a backup to, you know, after you have this 2013 season, you come out in 14 playing really well and injury takes you out. I was wondering why you made that decision to sign that contract and go play for another team as a backup. And now I know why.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was about your relationship that you had with God, with Christ, and you were just following your heart, wherever that led you. I think that's such great advice for people, because they always try to, a lot of times, do what someone else wants them to do, even if they don't want to do it themselves. And, you know, here you are going to play for a coach that you love, knowing damn well that you could start, but taking that back seat intentionally. And you knew that going into that year, or?
Yeah. So what God did when I almost stepped away, and what he was doing looking back, was he broke the identity of football away from me. Right. So we can all say that in life, with whatever we do, whether it's an athlete, whether it's creating a business, whether it's money, whatever it may be, that if that's your identity, you're going to fall. You're going to be very empty at the end of the day. And whatever that fallacy of when you achieve what you think you want to achieve and you get there, you're going to be very sad and very empty. A lot of people say after they win a Super Bowl, it's the loneliest day of their life a couple of days later. And then they're just hungry for another one because they want to do it again, but it didn't fulfill them, because nothing will fill you. That's where our faith came in. So when I went to Kansas City, it was probably the first time in my life where my identity wasn't the game of football. I was going to go be a great teammate. I was going to be a backup. And that made me a better player. It made me a better person. It made me a better husband. It got me ready to be a dad. Because that's ultimately where we got pregnant with Lily. But God knew what he was doing. And that's where, whenever we go through the desert seasons and the trials, I think our number one thing, like you said, is why God? And he's like, because I'm making you better. Right. I'm allowing you to grow. It's like with our kids, they're not just going to be great. They're going to fall down. Like Bodie yesterday, we're on a walk. He falls off his scooter and he's crying. And we obviously go there to nurture him, but I want him to get back on that scooter. And he doesn't want to at first. But by the end of the walk, the last 100 yards, he gets back on the scooter, and he's only 2.5. But I want him to grow. He doesn't know unless I, as his father, let him fall, let him get back up on his own, and then let him choose to go. And I don't say, oh, you don't have to. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, I want him to get back up. I want him to learn from it. I want him to get better. So, like, if I do that to my kid who's 2.5, our Heavenly Father has a lot bigger plans for us when we're going through that season. And that's why I said after the Super Bowl in my press conference, I talk about that. I was in the book of James a lot throughout that run. I just love the book of James. And my big thing was, like, if you're going through struggles and you're going through hard times, like, embrace it. You're growing. And that's the message. And it's hard. And for some reason, when you're going through it, you feel so alone, and that's a part of it. And you feel lonely, deserted, potentially depressed, but just take that next step. That's why communities, I know with Burn Boot Camp, with Dad Season, with Mom Season, like, our whole thing is create a community, whether it's through the apparel, through the workouts, through the social media, through whatever we do, so people don't feel alone. Because whenever you're in a community, you're stronger, and people live happier, healthier lives when they have a good community to grow up with.
When sports and fitness, it's all just a metaphor for that, right? I mean, I always say, you know, the original, there's only one original book, and every book stems from that one original book, right? And all the lessons are in there in sports, or whether it's Burn Boot Camp, whether it's, you know, you're training for football, whether you're at Burn Boot Camp, Costa Mesa, getting after it with your friends. It's like, all this is teaching us is that we can do the hard thing. We can get back up when we fall, you know, in a 2.5-year-old, it might look different, but I think that's something that as adults, we can't forget that. You know, we can't forget that we can do hard things, that we need each other to do hard things. We need to lean on each other because we're human and we're vulnerable and we have shortcomings, and we're not always going to be strong by ourselves staring at the mirror or staring back in the mirror. And, you know, I just love how what you guys stand for with Dad Season, with Mom Season is so, it's so similar to what, if not exactly the same as what we stand for at Burn Boot Camp, which is, this is just this philosophy, this lifestyle, this brand. It's just a tool. It's a representation of ultimately doing the hard things, doing the hard stuff, that nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
No one wants to get up and train hard at 5:30 in the morning. Maybe a couple days you do, but every day?
Consistency.
So you go into the 2017 year. This is an amazing year for you guys. Okay. When you go over to the sideline and you run the Philly special, you want Philly, Philly. Everybody knows that story. So you've probably talked about it a ton on podcasts and everything. Philly, Philly. Are you in the stands during this game?
Correct.
Okay.
What do you? 26 family members, our daughter on my lap.
This wasn't one of those things where you're like telling her the night before, like, hey, if we get in this situation
she knew.
Was it going to happen?
I wanted her to know. And she had an idea.
Yeah.
But I told her specifically, do not tell anyone else.
Oh, I didn't tell anyone else. But during that time of the game and the tense atmosphere, I'm shaking the whole game, right? And the nature of the game was so back and forth, offense and defense, and the score close the whole time. So you were never like able to relax. But I didn't know that it was going to happen like right then.
No one did. Not even Doug.
Yeah.
Not even our head coach.
It was all real time for all of us too. Just like what, and then even when it happened, in no way are we like, that's going to be one of the most historical plays in Super Bowl history. Nobody's saying that. Nobody knows at the time that that's going to be that.
Yeah.
It just felt like a really cool play to end the first half. So, yeah, we didn't know what the future held with that play.
So what was your reaction like when it actually happened and you see him catching a touchdown pass?
It was so cool. I was next to my dad, my brothers, my whole family. It was awesome. We were just, but again, we're not like, this is epic. He just caught the ball and Trey just threw him the ball. Like, we're not thinking that as it's happening.
Right.
We're just like, this is incredible going into half, like a trick play.
Was my dad sitting down at that point? What was he doing?
Gosh, I don't even, probably.
Was he stayed pretty calm that game, didn't he?
Your dad was calm, yeah.
Usually he's walking around the stadium and like living and dying every single play.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That's an experience that you don't even remember all the details. You feel like you kind of just blacked out,
Yeah.
Like, did it really happen?
Did that really happen?
You wish you could like relive it one time and just see all the details again.
Right.
It's hard to remember everything.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I only played high school football, but on Fridays, all day Friday, we would talk about what are the first two plays we're running tonight, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like in my accounting class with my football coach. So it was one of those scenarios where like, you already know this is going to happen if you get in that situation. And so, and then you went over to coach and said, hey, you want Philly, Philly, and that was it, right?
Yeah, I think the big thing was I caught Coach Peterson off guard because we had a discussion the night before, the days leading up to the game, because we had the Philly special in the game plan for the first round of the playoffs. And with trick plays, we always let them marinate. So like it's an Andy Reid thing. He loves food, marination. So like trick plays can marinate all season, and then you can play it and run them in the last game. So we didn't run it against the divisional, against the Falcons, and we almost ran it in the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, but I had busted ribs. I think I cracked some ribs in that game, so I couldn't really turn around and catch it. But we were supposed to run it second half, go up 2 scores. So a safer position not to like gain the lead, 4th and 1, first half. So it was one of those things where we had some big plays to get down there, and there was a 4th and 1 call that was a speed option left, and I hated the play call. I thought it was the worst play. I don't know why they thought this play was going to be good. So we call a timeout. And I think in my mind, because the play that they called was like such a bad call, I'm like, well, if we're thinking that, let's just go run the Philly special. Like, I want to run the Philly special. So that's when I ran over to him. And throughout my career, there has been times I've run over to the coach and asked for a specific play call in crunch time. And I will say, I think I'm 5 for 5 on game-winning plays.
Let's go.
Because of that, because it's an intuition as a quarterback. And as a head coach, Coach Peterson played quarterback. He knows if his quarterback's coming over asking for this play, it's probably a good idea. But there's a pause because I've talked to people recently because I've been doing a series on the Philly special because of our You Want Philly Philly line.
I've seen that, yeah.
So I wanted to find facts that were fun that people don't know. And one of the I don't even think I've shared this fact, but the entire headset goes silent because coaches are always like chiming in, hey, let's run this, let's run that, run that. But when I asked for the Philly special, no one wanted to say this is the play to call because everyone was like, oh, I ain't putting my hand, I ain't saying that's a good play.
Yeah.
So it was either Nick or it was Nick and
if this doesn't work, my career might be over.
Yeah, it was like one of those things. I know the coaches all trusted me, but Doug was my rookie quarterback coach. He was the one who flew out to Westlake High School. He was with Andy Reid my rookie year. So there's so much history, and Doug trusted me in that moment to run it, and that meant the world to me. And I just found out in the last year with Jason Kelsey, we were at a charity function in Philly, and they asked Jason what he thought when I went in the huddle and called the play. And I did not know he felt this way. I need to have Jason on a pod or something. He said, man, I thought it was an awful idea. And I'm like, wait, seriously? I thought everyone was on board. Like, you kidding me? You going out on a route? Like, I know you got good hands, but are we seriously going to run the Philly special right here? And he's like, but man, am I glad you called it, because that looked beautiful and it worked. And I think it was the big momentum shift in the game because it was ballsy. I was playing without fear. My prayer leading to that game was just play without fear. And ultimately, it was a play that not only worked in that moment and gave us 6 points, but it sent a message to the Patriots that we're not messing around. And it sent a message to our sideline that we're firing every shot we have and we're not holding anything back. And looking back, I know that. But in the moment, I'm just playing aggressively and like, this play will work. And that was my mindset.
Yeah, a lot of times at the end of the game, if you don't make the play, it's like, oh, well, that play didn't work. But it's all the other plays that, throughout the entire game that really made up the entirety of the game. That was a game changer.
That was a game changer.
That was it. They were on their heels after that one.
Yeah. I don't think Bill on the other sidelines was expecting that, and that made it even more fun.
I don't think anyone was expecting that in the entire world. It's a really cool moment, and I'm sure to be able to just to have this thought I know your kids are young, but to have them be able to grow up and see their dad have a historically remembered Super Bowl play.
Yeah.
You can play in the NFL and you play NBA, MLB, have a bunch of great games, but very few players get to say this is a historic moment in the biggest game ever. That must be really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. They have no idea really. I mean, they're at an age where Lily sort of knows because she was
getting there.
She remembers, she gets to see the picture of her on stage with me, but the boys, because I don't talk about it, we don't have a lot of stuff on display at the house. They just know me as daddy, and Duke will run around with some old jerseys. They don't really know, and it'll be fun someday to sit down and show them highlights. It'll probably be more your dad showing them highlights. I
think he already does.
He showed.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thanks for covering that. And so that was an amazing moment for the family. You win a Super Bowl. You're the Super Bowl MVP. When he's holding up the trophy as a Super Bowl MVP, where are you at, and what is going through your mind at that time?
So we all came down to the field. So there was a plan, if you win after the game, this is what you do. If you're on the winning team, this is what you do. You go here. And so we all kind of get led down there. People are walking us down there. And it's a swarm of people on the field. Obviously, we're just trying to find him. We eventually find him, and then he goes up to the stage, and we're kind of down with our whole crew that came, and we're just taking it all in and watching it, confetti. It was crazy. Again, it's hard to even remember the feeling because it was such a big moment. But it was awesome. And then he had Lily up there. I was up there too at one point. It was really cool. Yeah.
Well, you retired an Eagle a few years later, and I'm sure that feels good. How important was that for you to go back to Philadelphia to retire?
It was really important. It was something that was, when I left there, because of they had their franchise guy. I was playing great ball and could be a franchise quarterback, and it was a tough thing for both parties. And I know looking back, they've all said they wish they would have kept me and this and that. But you know what? I always say I got to learn so much through the last 4 years of my career where we moved. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy or wasn't that much fun. But we built a lot of great relationships. We got to experience different cities. Pat and Shelby and us wouldn't be best friends and do this if I would not have played for the Bears.
So you guys didn't really know each other before. Of him. But.
I just knew of Pat because he'd been with the Bears for so long, and we played against him in the playoffs in 2018 when we beat the Bears. So you can bring that up with Pat.
I will.
But it's just I always look at things from that perspective of I'm grateful. I wanted to end my career and just be grateful. You could always be like, oh, it'd have been nice to do this or that, but I'm just truly grateful and content. And for everything God allowed me to do. Because if I go back to when I was a kid or in high school and you said this would be your trajectory of what you would do, I would be in disbelief.
Right.
You know, I was working like everyone else. I was doing this. I was a great athlete, but I just think taking it with gratitude and being special. So ending it in Philly, where it all began, in a city that I love and have a great relationship with, means the world to me. And to be able to go back there 4 or 5 times a year and do things in Philly, there's a couple other things that could happen potentially in the next couple of years in Philly with us, which is really cool. I mean, a lot of players don't have that with a team. I mean, a lot of guys will play for a long time and play for different teams, but there's never a team you can go back to and have a relationship like we do with that city. And I think being able to have that's really, really special, and I don't take it for granted.
Seems to be a team that really cherishes their players. You know,
they do. The city does.
Yeah, the city, the team,
owner.
the organization. Yeah, and not every organization's like that.
You know, 25% of the organizations in the NFL are good.
Mm-hmm.
The other 75% are running around hoping that good things happen, but they're not doing the things. They're not running the teams the right way. And I've gotten to see both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's some good ones. Philadelphia is one of the great ones, and that is showing through the history of the team. It's a very, very rich history with great players. And obviously in the last decade, it's been one of the best teams in the NFL. And going into this season, I mean, they're my pick for a potential repeat because they have all their star and their franchise guys back and the coaches and, you know, their owners all in, their GMs all in. He's aggressive. And then the cities, I mean, there's a lot of passionate cities out there. They're you know, they are up there in the top tier. If there's tiers, Philadelphia is there with the top tier with like the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers and stuff like that. So it's awesome to have fans that love their team like the Eagles fans do.
So Arizona Wildcats together, you know, you're a setter, correct? You were a setter?
Yeah, I played middle blocker in high school, but I switched to setter senior year, and that's kind of what got me recruited.
Okay. And so then, you know, it's been ingrained in both of you being athletes. You know, fitness is just part of what you do. It's part of your job at some point, right? And so, you know, after the NFL, after the Arizona Wildcats, I'm sure you stayed active, but take me into Burn. Like, when did you come into Burn for the first time? This was, and then I know you were the inaugural first Costa Mesa Burn male member, but you know, you dragged him in. So I want to hear that story.
So yeah, obviously I was actually a dancer growing up, started playing volleyball in high school, you know, take your fitness kind of a different way. And then in college, you're lifting weights. I hadn't really lifted a whole lot of weights in high school. So into college, that was like, okay, this is what lifting is going to be. You're in 6 a.m. weights every day training. And then after college, I knew I would continue working out. Kind of when you play a college sport, you're just going to keep up your fitness, you know, and I liked how I felt when I did it. And so I got a lot into running when I was in Portland. I was running like 6 miles in the morning, like 3-4 days a week, because there's a big running culture up there. And a lot of the girls I was meeting were runners, like college runners. I'm just trying to keep their pace. And then I got really sick. So obviously my fitness took a hit because I couldn't even work out at all. But what's funny is with POTS, when I went to the specialist, the most important thing you can do to manage the condition is work out. And I'm looking at him like, I can't even stand up right now without feeling like queasy, dizzy, faint. It's almost like you feel severely pregnant all the time and you feel unstable. And so I had to start with like, okay, I'm going to do this 5-minute workout video until I feel like I'm going to faint, and then I have to lay down just in my house. And then little steps of doing that, being so disciplined, like thank God for the kind of work ethic that college sports ingrained in me, and the toughness, and just being so disciplined and finding a rhythm with my diet, lifestyle, working out, just being more bold about trying new things. If I get dizzy and faint, somebody's going to help me up. Like literally, these were the thoughts I would have, because if I was going to go try a workout class, once I got to the stability of that point, it was like, what if I'm going to go faint in that class though? And I had to have a level of bravery that was like, well, then I'm going to faint and somebody's going to help me, because or else I was never going to try it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'd never fainted in my life before. So it was like, what does that even feel like? I had good warning signs for that though. So I had kind of a means to stay safe with what I was doing. I want to preface that if you have POTS, you need to be careful about what you do. But I got to a point where I started doing more intense working out at home, Pilates, workout classes, kind of started jogging again. I mean, this has really been like a 12 to 13 year journey of getting better over time with ebbs and flows of being pregnant, postpartum, going up and down between that. But when we got back here from Indianapolis, I was like, I really want to go somewhere, not just work out at home, and just find something for weights and to get me doing weights a few times a week without having to think about it. And then we started to get to know the community here of amazing couples, parents at our daughter's school. So many awesome families. And then all the moms went to Burn Boot Camp, and they had childcare, and I had 2 little ones that weren't in school. And so it was like a perfect, like, oh, I should, some of my closest girlfriends that I started making, I was like, I should come try it. And even though was at a very stable point, I was still a little nervous. Like, what if I don't feel well, or what, but it turned out to be incredible for what I deal with, because you're not just standing still, upright, not moving. Like, you're up, you're down, you're engaging all your muscle groups.
We don't let you stop.
No, you don't
moving
stop.
The whole time.
Yeah, and I'd rather move for 3 hours than stand in like an hour line at a grocery store, because that's a problem for POTS. So I loved it, and strength training for me is so good because I've got to keep blood flow throughout my whole body. I've got to keep my muscles strong so that they're constantly pumping, so the blood isn't pooling in my limbs, which causes a lot of the symptoms. So I just thought it was awesome. It was helping me get strong. I had just had Bodhi. He was only 4 months old. So it was helping me get past that point and just start to feel really good about my fitness. Like, I had a good plan. I didn't have to put a lot of thought into it. I could drop Lily off, head there, put Duke or Bodhi or both of them in the childcare, and get a great workout in. And then I don't know how did it, some of the husbands went, obviously. Jared Hall and Robbie own it.
But I think you wanted me to go with you. And I was like, sure.
Yeah, I was like, you need
I used to just run there because it's like 6 miles away. So I'd run 6 miles there, do the workout, and sometimes run back, or just get in the car with her after, and then just drive back home. And
that's intense. 6 miles there.
Well, I got into, I've always like,
do it, then run back.
Yeah. Like, I actually really like it because I would try to get there like 15 minutes before class, just so let the body like recalibrate for class and then get after it. But yeah, I mean, I went with her, and after being in the NFL, I want something different. I know how important a community is, and it's primarily women, but there are at Costa Mesa several guys that go in there and get after it.
Well, you started it all. You're the pioneer. You're the pioneer at Costa Mesa.
I will say, I mean, the workouts are all, like she was saying, you're engaging everything, and so many workouts are how hard do you want to take? Because there's days I go in there and maybe I ran 8 miles the day before, and I know like where my system is, so I have to drop the weight, but I want the load, but it's not going to be as heavy as if I'm super fresh. But I just always enjoy that because I can shut my brain off and just work. Whereas, this last 6 months and stuff, a lot of my workouts are like, I'm working on dad season stuff on the phone with Pat while I'm lifting, and then I go on a run, and on my run, sometimes I'm talking to Pat because we're just trying to overlap everything. But it's harder because you're by yourself. And I think that's what's great. We were just there 2 days ago for the leg day, and it was just awesome being in a community of everyone getting after it, everyone working. Obviously the kids are there in the childcare having a great time. But I will say, being able to work out with your spouse is a lot of fun. I mean, she's my partner, obviously in life, but then also in the workout, we get to push each other and do that. I think that's really healthy for a marriage. Not only from an emotional standpoint, but I mean, there are studies that show like when you're working out with your spouse, it's also an attractive thing. I mean, she walked out of a gym in college, like in her workout stuff, all sweaty, and
so that's why you're going back to. So you brings back the vibes when you guys first met.
Yeah, we start at the beginning. We keep everything,
Well, and two, it must bring, being an athlete myself, it brought back for me just the team culture, the atmosphere, like the locker room with the guys or the gals just getting after it, the chemistry that you feel. There's like a void in my heart after, after.
That's the hardest part, right?
It's the locker room vibe is gone. And this is, I think, the modern day adult kind of locker room vibe for everybody that's accessible to everyone. What is your favorite protocol, Tori?
I love full body strength.
Okay.
Because that's my primary reason for going to Burn to get the weights in, because strength training is so important as we age. I think for moms, it's so important. I mean, you're holding kids, you're holding everything, So that's my main reason I went there is like strength training. So I'd say full body strength, but I also love burst training, but I feel like you guys don't do that much burst anymore. Am I
Do I
wrong?
have to bring it back?
I think
Should
you
I
might
bring
need
it
to
back?
bring it
Are you
back.
petitioning right
I
now to
love
bring it back?
burst training.
We changed it from a protocol title to just like a format.
Okay.
So it's like the way you flow about,
Yeah,
but
I get that.
I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I'm open. I'm listening.
But I like Metcon and athletic conditioning. I just like there to be weights involved.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your favorite protocol?
I think anything with weights.
All right.
I think
So
anything
body
with
weight
weights.
conditioning is a struggle for us.
Okay.
Why is that? It's the hardest one.
Yeah, it's the hardest one because when you walk in and there's nothing on the floor, and you know it's going down.
it's
The
just
second,
you.
and honestly, it's so good, like burpees and everything. All the different types of training, like high rocks is a big thing that's catching North America by storm.
Yep.
And I think it's another great thing. I mean, honestly, a lot of what Burn does will help you with that type of training. But like all the burpees and everything, oh man, they suck, but it's actually so good for you.
Yeah.
But
Right,
I think it brings me back to like high school 2-a-days punishment,
Yeah, right.
like up downs. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh geez.
Optionally mandatory, 5 a.m. practice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
some of that's
optional, right?
Yeah.
PTSD if you played college sports. Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you're
for
doing
sure.
that as like a punishment.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't we have such a like strict rule on don't punish people with exercise. Like if someone,
Yeah.
it's not like do 3 burpees if just, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do
You gotta
that.
make exercise fun. It's like when I coach our girls, or I'll coach the boys after practice with Lily. I'll be like, hey, let's run over and back across the field, and let's just see if we can beat like 22 seconds. I'll do it with
Right,
you.
right.
And I make it fun, but she doesn't know I'm actually teaching her to get better condition, but I'm
Right.
making it fun.
Yeah.
And like, how do you do that?
Yeah, you're gamifying.
And that's
it.
what Burn's doing with, I mean, the instructors always have extremely high energy. Honestly, sometimes when you're like grinding, you're like, oh my gosh, how is your energy like this? Like, what?
Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Stop.
Just go over there.
Just go away.
But I have so much respect for that energy, and I know that it creates a great environment and community.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of it. And I will tell everybody there's going to be much, much, much more from Morgan, myself, the Foles, the O'Donnells coming very soon. I'm teasing something, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. All right. We're not going to talk about that. You're going to have to stay tuned, but I will tell you that this is not the last that you'll see of Nick and Tori. You guys are very busy people. Thanks for inviting me into your home city and coming in and just spending some time with me. I know it means a lot to Burn Nation to have, for a lot of people, an idol and an idol family. You guys together, you're a true power couple. And to have you fall in love with Burn means a lot to me, and just it be so organic. But also you're coming on the podcast and spending time with me as a representation, of a faith-based power couple doing great things, not pretending like they can do it at all, but trying and doing their best on the way there, raising a beautiful family. And so thank you for being you as people. And also thanks for being on the podcast today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having us,
so
Devan.
much.
Appreciate it.
For sure. All right, everybody. We're going to do it like we always do. Ready? 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.